Hello, my friends, and thank you for being with me yet another month. Welcome to all newbies, and invite you to become a subscriber because then you get notified when I'm live, and it gives you opportunity to kind of interact and bring your energy on board. Now, just a few quickie introductions. I still have my annual Taroscopes on sale. You get one for only $10 and all of them for $20. And I will continue during the April to have my speed up promotion. I am working very hard to kind of catch up with this, but for you it works that instead of like 3-4 weeks, now you're upgrading automatically to a week. So regular reading is becoming rush, and rush reading, which was 7 days, is becoming urgent. So from 7 to 3, and the urgent reading is not more 3 days, it is like 24 hours. So it's kind of awesome. I am doing my best, if you do the order for urgent before 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, to actually do it the same day. But then again, sometimes I have to go and see my dad and I'm not at home. So but at that stage I'm going to send you an email saying the timeline for the urgent ones. Now guys, this is all there is. We still have Mercury retrograde until the 15th, and then another 3 weeks for the shadow. So yay. How is your car going? How is your phone? Is it slow? Is your computer slow? What broke down? And I really hope it is not affecting you as much as it's affecting me. In any case, I'll be doing just regular tarot monthly, and then of course it's going to be revolving then to Lenormand and X spread shortly thereafter. Thank you guys very much, and please like, subscribe, and share this video, and you know that I love you. Hi Saggies, this is Kat, and welcome to your April 2018. So, and it's actually kind of really interesting. Keep in mind we are under Mercury retrograde. That means anything unexpected could happen, can happen. You should count it would happen. You know the Murphy's Law, if something can go wrong, will go wrong. You are on the same tangent. And technically they're saying the Mercury affects most the Virgo fellows, and as well as Gemini. I actually see you and Aquarius in the same category. Reason for that is you're on the same tangent with Gemini. It's just like a line, and if it affects this line, of course it has to kind of like affect this one. So let's start. Bottom of the deck you have Fire Kitten. I have noticed actually you have lots of fire. So you have 5 of fire and you have 10 of fire. Fire Kitten, the Empress, the Floating Cat, and the 6 of Sky. I don't know, something is really flashing, oh my gosh, in front of my eyes, and I have to keep taking these cards. And the Strength. Are you guys getting out of some kind of commitment? Something that has been extremely painful. Something ended. Something really ended, and you felt almost like your world fell apart. Something that kind of caused lots of conflict. Sort of like was a situation where the whole concept was wrong, and it was a time to kind of like step out of it and kind of like figuring it out, and figuring out what the heck is going on in the situation. Fire Kitten, which is just like sort of like a tip of the iceberg, that's why I kind of like usually go deeper, is somebody who is kind of mesmerized with the process. Look at this. Look at this little tail steaming, right? So being focused on one thing, another thing's like kind of like falling apart, is kind of like maybe you're feeling you have neglected certain things. Maybe you're feeling you had just like too much on your plate, or simply, I'm too old, I'm too tired, this is too high price to pay for me. Kind of, it's really sending me this kind of attitude. In the heart, in the core of the reading, you have two major arcanas. So let's start with Tower card. Tower is represents basically something that no longer can stand erected. Of course, it is a phallic symbol, hello, but it definitely can mean it's not going to, okay, let's not go there. You know what I meant. But it has a much, much, much stronger message than that, right? Tower represents the constraints of society's demands and sort of like strict requirements of convention. Sometimes we are maybe so afraid to commit something wrong in society's, eyes, that we actually commit wrong to ourselves instead. And we are so ashamed of our shadow that we kind of like build a persona or labyrinths inside of us, and then we hide a whole bunch of things that we always wanted. We kind of like maybe find ourselves in the unhappy position, and the problem here is like that we are putting lots of energy to maintain something that is not supposed to be built in the first place, right? So psychologically, this means that we use more energy to keep secrets that we are ashamed of. This is talking about our insecurities as well, right? So, all of us have disliked parts of us, and maybe we will go to the great lengths to kind of pretend they don't exist, or sometimes we even shame others or the same things instead of kind of like realizing our own kind of thing. With Tower, the key feature here is this crumbling motion, everything falling apart. So this is telling me that you have outgrown your beliefs and your values, and you're letting go of unhealthiness in your life, including unhealthy relationships and including old ways of life. It could have been a breakup for someone, because I have seen kind of like this journey of pulling in and trying to do the right thing by understanding the other people around you. And understanding, maybe through understanding them, you have been able to get this like 360. Oh, this is what they are doing. So it's 180. And you come full circle and say, oh God, gosh, I can see it now, right? This is something that frees us to walk on our own path. And it allows us to move forward in our lives instead of like sitting stagnant, right? It is definitely asking us to reveal the truth. Because this is what happens when we hide from the truth and refuse to confront maybe our own transgressions, right? Sometimes a small lie, for those of us who ever have been in a triangle relationship, we kind of like really know this could resonate. A small lie starts to be a bigger and a bigger and bigger web, and then it's hurting everybody in the process, right? And that disguise is starting to cause more discomfort than the initial lie. And that's why they have lie detectors, because just how much energy has to be placed in kind of like continuing with this lie. But as you become increasingly aware of how much you're betraying your true self, you're going to actually start feeling this bolt of lightning. And that's going to destroy this kind of like facade. This is definitely telling me that you're kind of getting it, what kind of effect your actions have and had and have and will have on the other people in the future. Sounds good, right? But this can talk about quarrels, disruptions, upheavals, and sort of like all kinds of releases, right? It's not a process that kind of like you wake up in the morning and with your morning papers, that's what I'm going to do. Also, when you change your way, then other people are ruffled, because you're ruffling their lifestyle. You're ruffling those chains, that invisible chains, that net that has been built, and kind of like that is an opposition. And that's why I see that for a while you were trying to maintain a situation, you were trying to maintain a position that for some reason is just like not sustainable. There are still issues with, I see the World card. It's kind of like really lovely here in this particular deck because the kitty is sitting on the ledge and looking down. So we are asking ourselves, first of all, there is like this ray of sun. It's kind of interesting. It almost looks like a target. We can see the curvature of the earth over here. So it is the understanding I am in a comfort kind of zone. The day is going to set and the new day is going to come, and I'm okay with this. So this whole process that is happening for you, it is really reversing itself back to the past, because the world, it should actually move forward. It's kind of interesting that both of these cards have this like strong Scorpio element in them, and Scorpios generally can be destructive when something doesn't work. In a sense, it's a good way of destruction of something. When it doesn't work, it's just like pull the plug, let's reveal it again. In your case, this actually came reversed. That sometimes indicates a refusal to explore new avenues, and that is sometimes extending this difficult process, right, of rebirth, of almost like shedding your skin, right? It is some kind of stagnation. There is like a level of fear and resistance to this change. But when the Tower shows up, it's almost like that you have no choice, right? It is telling you you have to get out. Imagine if you kind of like have indecisiveness over here. It's kind of a conflict that you're experiencing, right? This is definitely asking of you that you need to improve yourself and your situation, because some people who get world reversed kind of like almost like feel they're righteous ones and the world owes them a living, right? So it implies holding back of personal development, and it's definitely asking for change of attitude. And I really think, you know, that old kind of adage, you know, keep doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results, you're kind of getting it. You know, you're kind of like figuring out that maybe it was just as simple as that attitude was the issue. Whether it was yours or somebody else's, it actually doesn't matter. It's like that mesh that happens. So it is establishing those boundaries, how to kind of like continue in situations like that, right? Because it is crossing this progress, and it is like something really, really painful. I do have to tell you this. It's also stubbornness and resistance to shift, and it is definitely urging you to take smaller chunks and kind of like continue with this. Because look at this, you have Earth Thumb reversed, and then you have Ten of Fire reversed. So here is this like caring attitude. Maybe you feel that you need to be nurtured. Maybe you're refusing to nurture somebody else because it looks like you might be going through a turmoil yourself, right? And here it's saying to me like almost like independent attitude, where everybody's just like running for cover. Everybody's running to find that little kind of refuge from, you know, things not hitting you, not affecting you. It almost like gives me a feeling that there was like some huge conflict and somebody did a boo-boo and now leaving the scene instead of confronting the scene. So it is going to be really important to really, whoever it is, to stand up and be counted over here in the situation. Because the shift to the new stage is still not going to be happening for this month, because this month is sort of going to have a flavor of that realization. Even if this realization is, I'm stubborn and I don't want it to change, right? Even if this realization is like, oh, wait a minute, I'm working very hard. But this is definitely asking for accepting other people's ideas and their positions, and look at things at different ways, right? And understand that the process is kind of like helpful, and everything good and everything bad in life is also going to pass. So almost like kind of like feels like releasing grudges, right? this kind of gets really interesting here, because this is your feelings. And you have the Lover's card. You also had here 10 of Swords. You had Strength. You had 6 of Sky reversed. You have the Floating Cat, the Empress, and Fire Kitten. And also you had the High Priestess and the Wheel. So there is like this karmic kind of feeling, something from the past, guys, either the past life or past involvement or relationship or marriage or children. Like things are resurfacing, and all of these layers, you're kind of like wondering what's going on. Some of you might feel victimized. Some of you might feel like I have tried everything. Others of you will try to kind of like win in a situation. Yet the others of you will try to see things from their point of view. It's going to be lots of motions in different directions. Because when the Lover's card reverses, right, this is kind of depicting someone who wants to have the best of both worlds, right? And this generally causes this rift in a relationship. This doesn't necessarily have to talk about a third party, but it can. It can talk about somebody just like wanting freedom in a relationship where maybe kids have to be placed to bed and kind of like lunch cooked, right? It's kind of like creating this rift and imbalance, right? And hence the relationship gets affected with this. And this card doesn't have to necessarily relate to a lover. It can relate to a friend, a work relationship, or even to family, right? This is kind of like a really good time to pay attention to how well are you interacting with those who you're in close contact with, because the Lovers, as you can see, is the card of closeness, right? So if there is discord involved in like your involvements, maybe it's a spouse, marriage counseling could be needed to kind of like see the other person's point of view, because you also had the Floating Cat over here. Maybe you already have been through counseling, and maybe this is what is kind of disappointing you. Like maybe you're feeling, I have tried everything, but this is telling me that you haven't. This is also telling me that maybe there is a love that you have and that has been buried, and hence now you're not, or you have been hurt severely, and you kind of like really are kind of like feeling a little bit guarded, right? Because this is definitely telling me also friends with benefits kind of a thing. And you know, whether you are involved in a situation like that or thinking about that, or somebody saddled you with it, it's a kind of like lose-lose, basically, focus. Everybody really loses. It is sort of like a very transactional, and I think it's leaving you with a bitter taste in your mouth, right? This also can talk about some kind of breakup, right? Especially with marriage. I do see some kind of separations. I see disagreements and I see divorces, right? But this also can talk about temptations in existing relationships. But it can be few of these layers. What is happening immediately is you are kind of resolving. You are sort of intellectually starting to understand. You're having a 7 of Sky here. So look at here. Somebody is getting distracted with such a pretty, like flight of basically blackbirds. Another one is just taking something you have worked so hard to get. So this one is obviously smarter. This one is like later and more mesmerized, but we never want to be in a situation when we work hard for something not to get it. And even though this may feel to you that something has been taken away from you, you also have to understand that maybe it was you who got distracted. Maybe the distraction was that caused that moment, right? It takes just 1 second of distraction when you're driving to have an accident. So keep in mind that there are like 2 sides of this kind of card. When this kind of reverses, there is like this complete clarity where nobody's getting nothing, right? Or everybody tried to grab something and they ended up nowhere, empty-handed. So it is really this realization that hard things are hard, and they're hard because they're hard for everybody. Well, you might want to be a Superman or Superwoman, but it's kind of like hard to get to that level. You're trying to really turn things around. The World card needs to turn, right? This kind of like new set and new beliefs. I really see Tower card in your reading as a really good omen, because you are just about to emerge as somebody new. It's like really suggesting to me some separation. It's suggesting to me somebody's going to enjoy the money. And you know, sometimes we just create this like huge credit card bills and become shopaholic just to heal the pain or boredom. And definitely there is like certain kind of level of escapism here. Somebody's going to get very tired, bored, or even disgusted with the situation. But it also could mean that, well, you know what, I just need rest. This is a difficult transit and I need rest. Because check this out. You have the Lovers card and you have the Sun card, both reversed. So the Sun card is a really interesting card in this deck. It also talks about marriage. It talks about children. Maybe there is not the best balance currently happening, and maybe you need to pull back a little bit from everything that you had, because it's like a fabric, right? If you kind of integrated like the threads with everybody else, it's kind of like standing solid. And if you're kind of like setting this like new stage for something new, you kind of like have to have this approach that you kind of like have to pull back. Because in this card, look at this. Some kitties are allowed to come to the circle of friends. Some of them are treated like specially on a pedestal. Some of them are on the outskirts, and some of them just couldn't care less if they're in your circle or not. And that can as well be you. So this is kind of the environment. Maybe your environment in a sense is rejecting you. It's pulling you down because it is reversed. It's burning you down. Like I have this burnout really feeling almost like under your feet. And this is what is really exhausting you, and you're saying, okay, let me just put one foot in front of another and I'll be fine, right? You guys are really setting a stage. This is like literally sounding to me like writing a plan. And it's not really step-by-step plan, because there are like lots of kind of like rough edges over here. But I can totally see where this is going. I just like hope you just don't end up into the King, Earth King reversed. Because Earth King is like somebody who has a lot, but he doesn't really know how to enjoy it. He's spending lots of money. This is the person who's going to have the latest, you know, shoes, the latest purses, designer clothes. But for what? Just to show it to the others? I can spend this much instead of this much. Money doesn't buy happiness, guys. And I think that kind of should be the key takeaway from this particular reading. So let me check a few things here, because these three cards are very important for this period. And all of them are talking about some kind of balance, or rather, better to say imbalance, and better kind of like looking for some kind of like shelter. If you have to remember one thing from this, is that you need rest. And you kind of like have to get yourself from being a center of turmoil. And you have to figure out your own shelter, and you have to figure out who you really are. But also in a sense that how it affects the other people, by either who you are or who you want to become. So let me see this world reversed. Why is the world reversed here for Saggies? Old woman and foe. Whenever I see this card, and it means completely different thing than from what I see, but I generally trust myself, because I kind of like, as you probably noticed, I interpret cards a little bit differently than the others. To me, this card, she's having this book under her feet, right? And another book over here in her hands. She's obviously wealthy. She has like a real nice chair, etc. There is somebody entering here, and this woman already knows that there is something happening. So always tells me old lady. Could it be, guys, that you had a partner and somebody else aside from the partner, and things are still going on and they're not sustainable anymore. A decision has to be reached, and maybe it was you who created a whole mess, and now oh boy, you know, what do I do? Let me run for cover. And hence you just want to continue the way it is. It's working out for you. It certainly is for some of them, and hence just like willing to continue, but I don't think you'll be able to be really honest. So let me see this Tower for you, Saggy. And this one jumped over here. The gift on 5 of Fire. Conflict, gift. Well, you guys are never shying away from conflict, so something is telling me that you already know something. You did have some huge conflict that is supposed, I think that was the start of this process, that you were starting to wake up. You got burned in the process, that's for sure. I can see it here, I can see it here, I can see it here, but it started to open up something new. Let me see the Ten of Fire. No, the Tower first. The Tower. The Tower. There is like the Room and Child cards. Reversed. So you're very afraid of being close to people, and if you guys, because I did see separation for some of you, I did see kind of like instability in a relationship. You're not able to get close, but you're really kind of like really thinking how, again, the Child talks about all ideas coming back to life, and it can kind of, the street that goes both ways. One, something is not sustainable, because the Room talks about people close to you, as I said, like friends and lovers, and here could be some kind of discord. And I think this is simply kind of like a shakedown. Certain things just cannot go the way they are, and it's kind of giving me some kind of level of either disgust or embarrassment over here that has happened, whether to you or to somebody else, and it's a situation that seems to kind of like culminate now to explosion, and it has to stop. So let me see this Ten of Fire. A wedding reversed, and young woman. Again, of course, 3 people. Not for everybody. For some of you, you simply, I see that you will just go on your own and going to figure out what to do. But this would tell me, yes, it is possible. Again, as I said, friends with benefits sort of a thing. Somebody is trying to eat their cake and have it too. It could be involvement with a younger person. This also can represent a child, especially a daughter, and maybe marriage falling apart, keeping kind of like ensuring that relationships are done, and quality relationships with child or with children. But this also certainly can tell me that you maybe have been running away from somebody, and now you're coming back to understanding that you didn't escape, that the person is present inside of you. Because this tells me that somebody walked away, and that maybe created turmoil over here, and hence the aha moment happened. So let me see the Lovers. Boy, I can go on forever with this. If I were doing your private reading, it would be going, okay, well, let's check Lenormand, let's see what the heck this is. It's just like sometimes, and people I read for, I just like forget myself. Oh, I went on off the clock. I said, oh my gosh, I have to do the other stuff. So the Lovers, Messenger. Okay, that's good. Mercury Retrograde. You might get a message from somebody, or you're thinking about somebody there. Oh, there is a pride involved here. Maybe you don't want to contact somebody, maybe somebody doesn't want to contact you, but there is like no question on my mind that there is exchange of thoughts about each other. And yet it sounds to me you are either with somebody that you don't want to be with, or with a person who you don't want to commit to, because you had the strength here as well. And yet there is another person that is involved with it, which either could be mother of your child or your child. There are other things involved. And let me just see the sun over here. What's happening with this burnout and the people kind of coming to your life? Sagitts. Yeah, money and soldier. Money is talking about secrets as well, not only about money. Sure, it can be kind of outflow of the money, especially if you're going through some kind of separation agreement. Then your basically expenses are increasing. You're feeling you're getting way less for way more money, and you're kind of like feeling really guarded about it or jaded about the whole situation. And maybe you're feeling that other people are sort of like poking you and prying you, and they're asking more than they want to give, more than you can give or want to give. And that would make sense, because then it's just getting tired and it's saying, look, if I'm going to just like come in hemorrhage money over here, I can as well, you know, treat myself this way. But that's not a solution. So let me just like see that Earth King. What is this? Why is this Earth King here for Sagitts? Look at that. This is you guys. Fortune. But no hope. Are you kind of like thinking that you cannot find that little piece of happiness for you? You're kind of like feeling a little bit hopeless right now in a situation where you are. But I really wouldn't worry if I were you guys, because the Tower card, the Sun card, and the Lovers card, they're talking about a major adjustment. Whether this is getting out of a relationship and starting fresh. And yes, we get this burn when we get out. We need to kind of like jump back on our feet. I would just like, go through the motions this month, because I would really keep a diary, because you'll be going through something really, really big, and you will just understand how big this was later. But guys, this is a general reading. This might not be you. It might be a little bit of you. It might be 50% of you. So to get your reading, please contact me. And I would also appreciate your comments. That always means a lot to me. But not only to me, but to others who can actually reflect and talk about their own situation. Lastly, please subscribe, like, and share. And please seek me out on Facebook and on Instagram. And guys, be on the lookout for the next readings for the X-Spread and for Gypsy or Lenormand. I don't know what I'm going to pick this month. So until the next time, guys. So just, I do love you. Bye.